This is We the Sales Engineers Podcast, show 63.
Welcome to We the SEs Podcast, the show for sales engineers by sales engineers, with your host Ramsey Majaba.
Did you know that? Did you know that tomorrow's Canada Day? So Roxanne didn't have any time to record anything for me. I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, SE Nation. I think this is one show where I really don't want Roxanne to listen to the intro, but I won't tell her if you won't. Welcome back. So tomorrow is Canada Day. So happy Canada Day to all Canadians in Canada and abroad. And happy 4th of July coming up real soon in a couple of days, I guess, to our friends south of the border. I appreciate you guys being here. And I hope this show will be useful for you. It's a solo show. I don't have any guests. But I want to talk about an important topic, which we don't talk about it. I don't think we've ever talked about it on this show. So before we get there, in case you don't know me, my name is Ramsey Marjaba. I'm a sales engineer out of Ottawa, Canada. And I do this on the side in order to help other SEs and aspiring SEs to do better at their jobs and maybe get a job as a sales engineer. So the topic that I want to discuss is key account planning, and why sales engineers should be part of it. And it's different between different companies. Some companies encourage it, some companies don't care, and some companies don't want sales engineers to be part of it. And this is the part that I wanted to talk about today. And it might be easier for an SE. Some SEs don't really want to be part of it, but it's interesting to actually be part of it. And there's benefits to being part of an account planning. And before we get there, let's discuss what key account planning is, or just simply account planning. At the beginning of every year, the management of the sales department or the company gives quotas out to all the different sales teams and departments or whatever. And the key account planning comes into when the sales guy or girl looks at their quota and tries to figure out where they're getting that money from. So let's say the quota is $1 million, just as an example. The account manager would look at the different accounts that they cover and say account A purchased $100K last year. They have similar needs this year, so they're going to buy $100K from me again. So we can say that this account is buying $100K. And account B bought $500K worth of stuff last year. They don't have the same needs. We don't think they're going to buy. They might just buy $50K. So now we have $150K that we know we can sell. And if the quota is $1 million, that means we have another $850K left that we need to actually go out and find accounts that would buy from us for that amount. Where are these accounts? How can we get them? What's the plan of attack? These are all kind of part of the account plan. And generally there's like a very broad and high overview or general account plan for the entire year. But from on a month-to-month basis, so today's June, let's say I know exactly, or I have an idea of what I'm going to sell until January, but I know exactly, or at least my sales guy knows exactly what he's going to sell in July. And he has a good idea of what he's going to sell in August, and a fair idea of what he's going to sell in September. It gets a little bit fuzzier as you go away from the quarter, but as you get closer, you can actually plan better. So why should a sales engineer be part of that? Well, there are many reasons, which I'm going to list them here. And I'm going to start with sales. There's usually more turnover with salespeople. I found an article on LinkedIn. I'll try to find it and actually put it in the show notes, which would be at wetheSalesEngineers.com/show63. The article talks about the fact that there's a little bit of a a churn when it comes to salespeople. So salespeople move jobs more often. I have theories of why that is, but I'm not. This is not the show to delve into that. But the point is, SEs are more constant, and SEs have a better idea of the accounts that they're serving, even if they're working with multiple account managers. If you're working one-to-one with one account manager, it makes it a lot easier, obviously, because you're focused on the same accounts, same customers as the account manager. But if you're working with multiple ones, you have a broad overview of, you won't get as in depth maybe, but you'll have an overview of what each account buys. At least I hope you do. And if you don't, that means maybe it's something to work on. So if a sales guy leaves or a sales girl leaves and another one comes in, well, guess what? An SE is going to be part of the planning whether he likes it or not. A lot of times the director takes control and helps. But at least for me, what happened was I was a lot more involved than the director when they switched salespeople for me. Another reason why SEs should be part of account planning is because SEs have different insights to the customer and the actual opportunity. So an account manager generally works with the upper level people, so managers, directors, senior managers, depending on what you're trying to sell. And SEs would work more with the users, and they could also work with the CEOs. But like if you're doing a demo, it's not the CEO who's actually doing if you're doing a proof of concept, it's not the CEO who's working with you, it's the end user who's working and helping you. So you may have different insights from the users than from the CEO. The CEO may be saying stuff like, "Oh yeah, it's perfect, we're gonna buy it," whereas then you can look at the end user's face and you can tell he doesn't like anything. He's not going to recommend this solution. Or the opposite is happening, where the end user is loving it and the CEO just doesn't want to spend the money. So basically, the SEs have a different type of insight that can, with the insight of the account manager, provide a complete picture of what's going to happen with an opportunity or an account. Third reason is the SE is just as affected by the opportunities as the salesperson. That doesn't mean that, generally speaking, there's more on the line for the account manager because they get paid higher commission, and they're valued a lot more differently than SEs. SEs, although sales is a big, important part of the job, being technical, helping others, these are all things that are valuable for the SEs. Account managers, as you sell, you're good. You don't sell, you're bad. But SEs, at least in the companies that I've worked with, a big portion of their evaluation, if you will, is based on the ability to sell. It could be the best SE in the world, best technical person in the world, but if you can't convey the message properly, show the value of your product, you're not a great SE. And I'm not talking about you, whoever you are listening. I'm just talking in general. It could be the best technical person, not the greatest SE. So SEs are affected by the opportunities that they're working on. And this also relates to the fourth reason why, is it provides guidance for the SE to what opportunity he should be focusing on at the time. SEs work on multiple opportunities at the same time. It's not always linear. It's not always consecutive. It's concurrent. So you're working on opportunity A, B, and C, and D all at the same time. They could be at different stages, but you need to know which one you should focus on. If you feel like opportunity B, they need to close it right now, the customer has money and they need to spend before the end of this month or whatever it is, then maybe you should hustle and work on that a little bit more than opportunity A, B, A, C, and D. And what about the rest? Like, are you just not working on them at all? No, but you're focusing a little bit more right now on opportunity B because you are aware of what's at stake, which generally does not happen if you're not talking to your account manager about your accounts. So that's why it's important to be part of the account planning. And it also makes sure that both the account manager and the SE are on the same page. So like I said earlier, engineer could be loving it, the CEO could be hating it, or they're not providing the same information to both levels of the SE and the CEO, or the SE and the salesperson. And if the SE is not talking to the account manager, it's just not going to work because there's conflicting information there. Who's right, who's wrong, we'll never know. Or I'll guess we'll know once the opportunity closes. If it closed won or closed lost, you'll know then. And the last reason I have on this list of why the SE should be part of the account planning is if the sales engineer is interested in the sales aspect of the job, as in the future, the sales engineer would like to possibly try being a salesperson. It is important for the sales engineer to know what takes place in account planning and how it works. And how, for me, the big thing is I like to notice how I'd like to be treated so that if I'm ever in that position, I know how to treat my SE, although other SEs would not want to work like that. It's possible. But it's always in the back of our minds, like how we should treat other people. And I like to think that I'm learning how to treat other people by seeing how people treat me and if I like it and if I don't. And also if I would like the job. Account planning is kind of a fun part of being a salesperson. It uses a lot of strategy. There's more to it just than knowing where money's coming from or who's gonna buy what. It's how you're gonna sell them. How are you gonna come up with with a creative way for helping the customer buy from you if there's limitations. And which brings me to, why would an account manager want an SE to be part of the account planning? Account managers are fairly busy. They're working longer hours and they want to get stuff done. So if you're telling the account manager that, hey, take some time out of your day to work with the sales engineer to do the account planning, there has to be something in it for them. It's like everything else that we try to sell to customers. There has to be something in it for the other person. So why would an account manager want to invest a little bit more time while working with a sales engineer on their account plans? Well, reason number one that I have is 2 heads are better than 1. It's always useful to have someone to bounce ideas off of. And it doesn't have to be it could be weekly, monthly, whatever it is. But the SE doesn't have to be on every single account planning session that the account manager has. They could interject whenever they need. But I found it very useful because when I worked with my account managers on different opportunities, we can tell that some accounts don't want to pay that much money, or they have a problem with this, or there are many barriers to selling. While talking with the account managers, we'd come up with ideas on the fly. And I'd like to think, although there's no guarantee, I'd like to think the account manager would not have come up with that on his or her own. We worked together to come up with it. Although it's very possible they would have done it on their own, but as usual, I like to take credit. So having these discussions, bouncing ideas, you can come up with creative ideas. Some that will work, some that won't. I've given my account managers so many ideas that they did not go with. So it doesn't mean that every idea that you come up with, they have to go. In the end, they have to do what's right, part of their personality versus what's best for you. Also, a lot of ideas that I give them are just impossible. They're crazy ideas. Makes me feel smart. So having these discussions is usually helpful. Also, the SE has a better view of the technical solution and if it actually solves a problem. I've had situations where we do a discussion with a customer. Yeah, we have something that could work. The account manager and we talked about the customer's timeline. Oh, they want to buy next month. Great. So sales guy goes and puts it in his CRM that they're buying next month. Except that our technical solution is not really a greatest fit for their problem. Like, it would require some work to get it done, which they may or may not like if there's a solution that works right out of the box. So there is some obstacles that we have to overcome from a technical perspective. But if the sales guy doesn't talk to the SE, then they will never know that. They could commit that the customer is buying because everything's going well, which means the upper management's going to see that and they're going to think that they're buying, and then they're going to report that to their directors and board of directors, and everybody will say, oh, the company is doing well, and then not so much. The final reason I have for account managers to want to work with SEs on account planning is for a similar reason that I already set up from the reason why SEs should be part of it, is to have the same vision between the account manager and the SE, so that they can go after the same opportunities, attack opportunities at different levels, like CEO and engineer, or a manager and engineer, whatever it is. Just work together and, as they call it in like army speak, flank the customer. I don't want to call it enemy because they're not enemies, but like attack in two different directions, which is always good. So these are like the basics of account planning, and all this account planning that I'm talking about is not like the formal account review that the account managers does with their directors and VPs. It's more of just for their purposes to know what accounts to attack, and that's something that they should be doing anyways. I've worked with account managers who wait till they have to review the accounts with their directors, and they work over like a 3-day period, like 3 nights, 3 days, to come up with an account review. But the rest of the time they're just going blind, which is not the right way to do it. And I've worked with account managers who update their CRMs on a constant basis, which is kind of part of account planning, and understand where the money's coming from at all times. And if we're running short, that's a big thing. If we're not making enough money to hit our target this quarter, what are we going to do about it? Are we going to find new customers? Are we going to find new opportunities with existing customers? These are all part of the account planning that should take place. As for the account reviews with the VPs and the directors and all that, I would say an SE doesn't really have to attend it. It would be nice to attend 1 or 2 just to see how it is for a specific company. I've attended some in my older company and they were just brutal. They were not fun for the account manager, although I was snickering in the background, like laughing at like watching my account manager turn red because he can't defend an opportunity or something like that. And so just so everybody's aware, these are not meant to like give the account manager a hard time. I think it's a perk, and I think the VPs enjoy doing that. But the point of it is to be able to actually get an accurate representation of what's going to happen in the next quarter, so that they can report that to their directors and VPs, who would then report it to the CEOs, who would then report it to the board of directors, who would then report it to the world. So everybody has an idea of what's going to happen, and if the stocks are going up or down or stuff like that. But I found it from the account manager's perspective, this meeting is meant to defend how accurate their CRM is. Like whatever they have in their CRM, like we're getting this opportunity, they have to defend why they believe they're getting this opportunity, if it's realistic, if they just put it in there because it makes them look good and all that. And if they're not hitting their quota, what's happening, why they're not hitting their quota, what do they need help with? Do they need to get fired? That's an exaggeration, but it's meant to, it's in some cases I've attended with good VPs where they actually help their account manager come up with a plan to get more quotes or get more deals in the funnel or get more sales. I've also attended directors where they just don't do anything. They just take the information and send it up the chain. If you're an SE and you're on that call, be very careful. I would say if you want to observe, you can attend, but you might be called upon by someone to verify what is being said. The account manager can ask you for to back them up about a certain opportunity that could come in, so he can prove to the higher ups that they're actually going to get that deal or whatever. And then the VPs or directors can call on you to tell them, like, is what the account manager is saying accurate or not? And there's a very, 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 very fine line between between being truthful and throwing your AE under the bus. It's like a marriage. I've had it so many times where my wife is telling a story and I stop her mid-sentence and say, that's not how it happened, only to get beat up later. Not literally, don't call the cops, but we get into an argument of why did I say that. It's very similar with AEs. If you contradict them, it might lead to a bad relationship, although do you want to sit there and be complicit in their lie? Not that they're lying. It's complicated. So you have to figure out how to actually work with your account manager and maybe ahead of time tell them, like, if they ask me about something, I'm going to be truthful. Do you want me on the call? And if they say no, that means you're in deep doo-doo because your account manager is lying to the higher ups. So good luck with that. And it happens. Not often, but it happens. But the reason I personally enjoyed doing it, other than like making fun of my account manager afterwards, because we were friends and he was squirming, because I saw what it looks like on the dark side. I didn't know that's what happened in account planning and account reviews. I just thought they talked about the accounts. And all this applies if you have one SE or multiple SEs. It gets harder as the pool of SEs that supports. If you have one SE supporting multiple accounts, it's a little bit harder. But it's even harder if you have a group of SEs supporting the same accounts, which means they're overlapping, and you just can't have all SEs on the call at the same time. I don't find that to be productive. So that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about today. And I do have a question for you guys listening. If you're an SE, have you participated in an account plan in the past? Why or why not? Did you benefit from it? Comment in the show notes. WeTheSalesEngineers.com/show63. Again, happy Canada Day. Happy 4th of July. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And I will see you guys next week.